When the filming of American Pickers first began, it was Frank, Fritz and I who made the initial deal with the producers. They looked at Danielle Colby and questioned, "Who is she? What is she doing here?" I told them, "Well, she works for me," but they replied, "There's no deal with her, we're not filming her." Yet, Danielle Colby, once regarded as the heart and soul of American Pickers, now finds herself in an unthinkable position, as a defendant in a shocking trial centered around the death of Frank Fritz. Her fall from grace has left the world of reality television stunned, as she now faces allegations of orchestrating a ruthless plot to frame Mike Wolfe. Once a fan favorite, Danielle is now cast as the villain in a tragic story that has captivated the nation. What could have driven someone so beloved to become the alleged mastermind of such a sinister plan? Why did Frank Fritz, her companion of over a decade, become the target of someone he once called family? And what led Mike Wolfe to take the stand and accuse Danielle directly of being behind Frank's death? Initially, Danielle Colby was summoned to court as a witness for the prosecution. She appeared reluctant, trying to remain neutral and not get caught in the bitter conflict between Frank and Mike. But everything changed when shocking new evidence surfaced, and her name appeared on the list of potential suspects. In December 2024, in a packed courtroom in Davenport, Iowa, the trial of Mike Wolfe began. He was accused of causing the death of his longtime friend Frank Fritz, who was originally believed to have died of a stroke on October 1, 2024. But suspicions quickly shifted toward poisoning. As the case unraveled, Danielle Colby, once a close friend to both men, was called as a key witness. Her testimony, along with the heated exchanges between prosecutors and defense attorneys, turned the trial into a media firestorm. The FBI launched their investigation after discovering Frank's journal and a vial of nerve poison in a safe at Mike's home. Lead prosecutor Sarah Hargrove, with over 20 years of courtroom experience, accused Mike of poisoning Frank to avoid a financial lawsuit and preserve the American Pickers brand. "Mike Wolfe is not just a TV star," she declared. "He's someone who would do anything to protect his empire." Evidence soon surfaced, including the presence of nerve poison in Frank's bloodstream, encrypted messages between Mike and Danielle, and a $175,000 transfer from one of Mike's shell companies to Danielle's account. The situation grew even more suspicious when Danielle took the stand and inadvertently revealed her in-depth knowledge of Frank's medication, the same medication found to contain the deadly toxin. Prosecutor Hargrove highlighted recovered texts where Danielle told Mike that Frank was alone and wouldn't be checked on until the next day. Mike allegedly replied, "Handled. Delete this topic." These messages suggested a premeditated plan. Danielle, under pressure, broke into tears as she recounted how Mike had become increasingly aggressive and obsessed with being the sole face of the show after Frank's departure in 2021. She even recalled Mike telling her, "If Frank doesn't stop demanding, I'll do something to make him quiet." But the defense, led by renowned attorney Jonathan Kessler, struck back hard. He argued the evidence was circumstantial and insisted the vial found at Mike's home was part of a historical World War II medical kit from his antique collection. "There's no DNA from Frank, and no sign it's been opened in 10 years, Kessler argued. Danielle's credibility was also attacked. Kessler pointed out she had exchanged over 200 messages with Mike in the week Frank died, many of them involving discussions about Frank's medication. He also noted her sudden property purchase in Puerto Rico after receiving the $175,000, implying the money was hush money. Danielle denied the accusation, saying, "That money was for business purposes. I didn't know Mike's plan. I only testified because I owe Frank the truth." A turning point came when Danielle admitted on the stand to checking Frank's pills, allegedly to ensure he took the right dose. Prosecutor Hargrove quickly pounced on this, stating, "How did you know the exact dosage unless you intended to intervene?" Danielle, flustered, replied, "I just wanted to help Frank." But this testimony raised red flags. It directly matched the dosage of the poison found in Frank's blood. Her casual familiarity with Frank's medication became a central point of suspicion, prompting the FBI to open a separate investigation into Danielle herself. When Mike took the stand, he turned on Danielle completely, angrily declaring, "I didn't kill Frank. Danielle did. She always said Frank was a burden and the show would be better without him." He claimed she brought the vial to the office and demanded $175,000 to stay quiet about the show's shady finances. Less than 10 minutes after Mike's testimony, Judge Linda Mangrove paused the proceedings and announced that Danielle Colby was now the second official subject in the murder investigation. The trial of the century had taken an even darker turn. Soon after, the FBI intensified their investigation into Danielle. Just 48 hours later, led by Special Agent Emily Rivera, a team searched her home in Davenport, Iowa. The FBI sealed off the area and focused on her office, where they found a hidden encrypted hard drive containing security footage from the night Frank died, footage she had secretly retrieved before it could be handed to police. Upon analysis, the footage revealed Danielle arriving at Frank's house around 10:30 p.m. on October 1st, carrying a small bag, staying for 15 minutes, and leaving through the back door. Image enhancement confirmed the bag contained a vial identical to the one found at Mike's house. She was later recorded at the security office, requesting the footage under the pretense of review, an action the FBI now considers a deliberate attempt to conceal evidence. In her bedroom, the FBI discovered another vial matching the one found at Mike's home, complete with her fingerprints and residue of the same neurotoxin. Alongside, it was a handwritten note outlining how to mix the poison into Frank's pills, directly contradicting her courtroom claim that she had only looked through the medication casually. This damning discovery shifted the narrative entirely. Prosecutor Hargrove declared, "Colby is not just an accomplice, she could be the mastermind." The FBI's findings suggest Danielle carefully orchestrated the plan, manipulating both Mike and Frank, and covering her tracks to protect her own interests. The real story behind Frank Fritz's tragic death may be even darker than anyone imagined. Mike's home became the focal point of a framing plot, according to a former employee of antique archaeology who spoke to the FBI under anonymity. He revealed that in late September 2024, just days before Frank Fritz passed away, Danielle Colby asked him to deliver a small box, later identified as matching the description of the pill bottle, to Mike's house. The FBI later uncovered encrypted messages confirming Danielle had sent Mike a cryptic message after Frank's death, stating, "The bottle has been placed, don't open it." In court, Mike testified, "I had no idea what was in that bottle. Danielle brought it over herself and told me to lock it in the safe. She set me up from the very beginning." Although his testimony was initially dismissed as an attempt to deflect blame, the FBI is now taking his claims seriously. Mike continues to vehemently deny involvement in Frank's death, claiming Danielle manipulated him and the show. During intense interrogation, Mike revealed that Danielle often described Frank as a burden and believed he was slowing the show down. She allegedly had access to Frank's medications, his house key, and control over offshore financial accounts. Mike further explained that Danielle asked him for $175,000, supposedly to manage financial issues, though he had no idea it was tied to Frank's death. Financial records only deepened suspicions against Danielle, revealing she controlled several offshore accounts that received $3.2 million in suspicious transactions linked to American pickers, including a $450,000 withdrawal just days before Frank's death. A forensic audit revealed she had transferred part of this money to a personal account in Puerto Rico, where she quickly purchased a luxury property. Prosecutor Sarah Hargrove alleged that Danielle Colby not only framed Mike Wolfe but also engineered a scheme to eliminate Frank Fritz, seize control of the show's finances, and manipulate public perception using her feminist image as a smokescreen. The evidence found in her residence significantly strengthens the case against her and could change how Mike Wolfe's role is perceived. Although Mike still faces financial misconduct charges, the spotlight has now shifted to Danielle, who has emerged as the primary suspect in what has become a sensational case. The trio of Frank Fritz, Danielle Colby, and Mike Wolfe once formed the heart of American Pickers, the popular History Channel show that followed antique hunts across the U.S. Frank and Mike were the pickers, while Danielle, the sharp-witted manager of antique archaeology, coordinated their efforts and contributed to the show's charm. But behind the scenes, a sinister story was unfolding. In 2018, as Frank's health declined due to chronic back pain and Crohn's disease, Danielle began privately labeling him a burden. A former production assistant revealed that Danielle persuaded producers to gradually reduce Frank's screen time, arguing his health issues made him unsuitable for long trips. She even encouraged Mike to minimize personal contact with Frank under the guise of professionalism. A coded 2020 message from Danielle to Mike read, "Frank needs to stay in Iowa. You need to shine alone. I'll handle the rest." Mike, under pressure from both Danielle and the producers, reluctantly distanced himself from Frank. "I didn't want to distance myself from Frank," Mike later testified, "but Danielle made me believe it was the only way to save the show." By 2021, Danielle pushed even harder, arranging secret meetings with Mike and the producers to argue that Frank no longer fit the show's evolving format. According to a diary recovered by the FBI after Frank's death, Frank wrote, "DNM Whisper. Every time I enter, I feel like an outsider in my own show." He was officially removed from the show in July 2021, supposedly for health reasons, but believed Danielle had manipulated Mike into pushing him out. In a 2025 interrogation, a tearful Mike admitted, "Losing Frank was the most painful thing in my life. I let Danielle Colby take control because I thought she was right. But I was wrong." Danielle soon began pressuring Mike to transfer the American Pickers brand to her. As the financial manager of Antique Archaeology, she controlled offshore accounts that received $32 million in suspicious transactions. She threatened to expose these dealings unless Mike signed over the brand. A coded 2023 message from Danielle read, "Sign the contract or everyone will know the truth about the money. You have no choice." Feeling cornered, Mike signed the agreement in August 2023, shortly before Danielle received a $175,000 payment from one of Mike's shell companies, believed by the FBI to be a hush fee. Danielle's manipulation continued as she took control of the show's direction, increased her own screen time, and promoted her personal clothing line. A crew member told the FBI that Danielle once warned Mike, "Frank is done. And you'll be next if you don't listen to me." Fearing her threats, Mike remained silent and compliant. In February 2025, the courtroom in Davenport, Iowa, again drew national attention, not for Mike Wolfe, but for Danielle Colby. She stood trial, formally accused of murdering Frank Fritz, who had died on October 1, 2024. The 3-week trial revealed a chilling tale of manipulation and betrayal. Prosecutor Sarah Hargrove opened by calling Danielle a cold and calculating individual who orchestrated Frank's murder to take control of American Pickers. Surveillance footage confirmed Danielle visited Frank's home around 10 p.m. the night of his death, administered a neurotoxin, and left. She later retrieved and destroyed the vial, planting a similar one at Mike's house to frame him. Danielle's defense, led by veteran attorney Margaret Wilson, claimed she was innocent and the target of a smear campaign. Wilson argued the vial was planted and that the FBI was scapegoating Danielle to cover errors in the earlier investigation of Mike. But the defense crumbled in the face of overwhelming forensic evidence. Danielle took the stand on the 5th day, appearing nervous and defensive. She denied everything, claiming she had only visited Frank to check on his health, and the vial was a decorative gift for Mike. When questioned about the security footage, she weakly claimed it was about safety, not concealment. But when the prosecutor confronted her with a handwritten note found at her home detailing neurotoxin dosages, Danielle had no answer. Her silence spoke volumes. In the weeks that followed, museums across the U.S. saw a surge in visitors, a phenomenon dubbed the Fritz effect. A scholarship was established in Frank's name to support rural historians. His digitized journal became the basis for a new project to preserve everyday memories. 1 year after his death, Frank Fritz had made the greatest impact of his life. Yet grief deepened when the FBI announced it was reopening the investigation into his death. The tragedy, once thought resolved, cracked open again, fueled by suspicion and unanswered questions. Frank Fritz, the man with passionate eyes and a heart rooted in history, once stood as the soul of American Pickers. Alongside Mike Wolfe, he traveled the backroads of America, finding forgotten pieces of the past. He was more than a host. He was a symbol of nostalgia, a vessel of authenticity. While his story ended in heartbreak, betrayal, and mystery, his final legacy lives on. And as the secrets behind his death continue to unfold, one thing is certain: the story of Frank Fritz isn't over yet. If you want to follow the explosive revelations still coming to light, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the truth is still lurking in the shadows.